everyone, this is Athena from Courage Coaching. Thank you for stopping by today. If you are new to my channel, then please feel free to click on the subscribe button to get notifications for any new videos that I upload. In today's video, I wanted to talk about imposter syndrome. Now, for many people who have grown up in a dysfunctional family home, they will carry deep feelings of shame and low self-worth. In most cases, this will follow them into adulthood, and imposter syndrome is very much linked to these feelings. What does imposter syndrome look like? What does it mean? And why do we have it? So imposter syndrome is basically a fear of being exposed as a fraud despite all of your accomplishments, despite all of the success that you may have already had, and despite the fact that you generally have a lot of evidence that shows that you are very competent and able to do well in life. So let's go through a couple of characteristics of imposter syndrome. What does it look like? What are the feelings that come up? So the first thing is that you may have a really good job, however, you don't go for things like promotions, or you don't take on any new projects because you are really worried that you are not capable enough, even though other people know that you are and are encouraging you to do so. You just don't feel that you are up for it. You don't feel that you are good enough to do all these extra things because you feel like an imposter. Another example could be that you are always doing different certifications, you are always learning new skills, you are always getting new degrees and a master, and you keep educating yourself to essentially bolster your resume because you don't feel good enough. Another example could be that you are a workaholic and you are driven by a feeling of not being good enough, which is why you keep working more and more and more, because you are trying to prove something to yourself and to others because you have such low self-worth. No matter how much you already work, it's just not enough. So you keep pushing yourself and pushing yourself, which of course in the end is just going to exhaust you and isn't healthy. Another trait, another important characteristic of somebody who has imposter syndrome is that they are perfectionistic. They have very strong perfectionistic tendencies. And again, they are driven by the fear that they are going to be found out for being an imposter. So they try to be perfect all the time. They don't want to make any mistakes. And every time they make mistakes, they feel awful. And they are consumed by deep feelings of shame and low self-worth. Now, another thing that's tied in with imposter syndrome and perfectionism is procrastination. That is something that is very much a part of having both of these. Another thing that's important to recognize is that somebody with imposter syndrome has a very negative internal voice, which is constantly telling you that you are fake, that you are not good enough, that if you succeeded in something or you did well in something, it's only because you were really lucky. This inner voice is so critical, and it ignores your achievements. It doesn't allow you to enjoy your successes and feel good about the things that you've managed to do in your life and the successes that you've had. You have a very negative inner critic that constantly puts you down and tells you that you need to do better, that you're not good enough, that people will realize one day that actually you're really bad at your job, or that actually you're just faking it. So this inner critic is something that obviously needs to be dealt with in order to beat imposter syndrome, in order to stop yourself feeling like an imposter. Lastly, a huge part of feeling like an imposter is that you have a pervasive feeling of deep shame, and you constantly consider yourself stupid or incompetent, not good enough, all negative traits, right? All negative things. Imposter syndrome is very painful to live with. Every time you do something, you have a lot of anxiety because you are scared that you're going to mess up, because you are scared that people are going to find you out. A lot of the people that I know that have imposter syndrome are actually very intelligent, incredibly resilient and are very good at their jobs. They are very successful in what they do, and they have to battle this imposter syndrome daily. They have this inner critic that's constantly there putting them down, but they have managed to find a way to push that inner critic aside and tell him to just stay where he is. Now, I'm calling him because in my head, he's just this nasty old guy that's constantly having a go at me. So for you, it may be different. You want to tell that inner critic to just shut up, right? You need to push him aside and then keep going, keep trying. Because so many people with imposter syndrome are actually very successful, very intelligent, and are doing really well in their lives. There may also be people that aren't doing as well because the inner critic is so strong that it won't allow the person to succeed, that won't even allow the person to take a first step in the direction that they need to go in order to change their life. So this is obviously learned helplessness. This is a different thing. This is where the inner critic is really harsh and the self-worth is really low and there are really deep feelings of toxic shame. So some individuals haven't been able to move past this step and they just feel hopeless and they feel like they can't achieve anything. But that's a whole other topic. That's a whole other video. Imposter syndrome is something that you feel when you are doing something, when you are working, when you are, successful to some degree, or you have a job and you're good at your job, but you just don't see how good you actually are. You just don't see your strengths. You only feel insecure. Now, if you can relate to the topic of this video today, then please feel free to share your experience in the comments below. And if you have any questions at all, then please feel free to email me at courageisallyounneed@gmail.com. Thanks very much, everybody. I will see you in my next video. Take care. Bye-bye.